Testing, testing. All right. Good evening, heroes and heroines, and welcome to Practising Programming in C. It's been a little while since I've done a stream because my internet has been kind of busted. It's still kind of busted now. Like the download rate is still screwed, but the upload seems to be okay. And I'm currently uploading at a reasonable speed, I think. That's the usual kind of thing, 100k. No drop frame so far. And I'm also recording it locally. So, with a bit of luck, the stream will be okay. Before we start though, let me recap some stuff that I've done off stream. I'm pretty sure that the last thing I did on stream was fixing the quoting. There must have been something in there that I'd screwed up and I just needed to fix it. I can't remember exactly what, but I think that was the last thing I did. But then off stream, I got the thing supporting multiple co-hosts, guests, and annotators. So basically that. Let's just see if I got this. Of course I haven't. Let me just see if I can show what that looks like. I think Risky 18 has one, doesn't it? Yeah, because it's the interview. So basically this now means that the guests now get annotated. They get included in the player, in the credits menu. And if there was multiple annotators, well, I can just show you. So if I do Risky 18, if I just add, let's add Fiery as an annotator, because I've got him as an actual. I've got his credentials in the thing. There you can see he pops up there. So he doesn't have a home page. So you can see. Well, actually, I don't think you can see. See, where does this go up to? I think you should be able to see this little URL thing down here. So you can see here that my URL is going to there. Well, actually, tell you what. Oh no, it doesn't show when you use a keyboard. So yeah, my URL goes to there, and also there's the Patreon thing. But Mike doesn't have a URL or a Patreon. These guys do have their LinkedIn profiles, but no Patreon. And Mio has got his whiskey.tv and Patreon. So, yeah, it kind of supports all that. And another thing I changed was also making the... It's just a stylistic change, just making this box here kind of highlights up to that point. It kind of expands up to the point of the Patreon logo. So it just kind of keeps those consistent. Because previously I had it expanding the other direction with the Patreon logo expanding further out, which I sort of liked in the sense that it drew people's attention to the fact that there was like another thing to click on there. Because I did want to sort of, I felt like I wanted to highlight the fact that there was a Patreon logo. But it just sort of looked a bit messy, and it also screwed up the situation when there isn't a Patreon logo. Like in the case of these guys. So I just thought, sod it. I'll just make it expand in the other direction, so that this thing fills the whole box. Yeah, and you can also see that these guys get ordered in the order that you put them in the annotations, which I think is fine. Like, if I were to move Fiery over to there, you should see that he now comes before me, yeah. And I think that's a reasonable thing to do, because like this list only occurs in the credits menu, so it doesn't really need to be. It doesn't really need to have a persistent ordering across multiple things. So I think it's fair enough to just let the annotator themselves actually determine the order. So yeah, so there was that. Add keywords just and sort data topic dots. Yeah, right. So the keywords, that's just this stuff up here. It just takes basically the topics and the topics in the media and just uses them as the keywords. So if somebody searches for hardware programming on like a search engine, then I believe that these keywords will kind of enable this page to show up in the searches, I think. And sorting the topic dots, so that was to do with when you see AI and hardware. Yeah, so it's these dots here. All this does is make these guys appear in the same order. So I think maybe if I were to do maybe the test one illustrates this. Well, it doesn't. Hardware and mathematics. And unfortunately these aren't very clearly coloured. I don't know why these end up being so indistinct, by the way. Because like if you look at my art stream, you can see that like usernames get really good like differentiation. Like Ratchet Freak is yellow, Intervals is purple, Canoodles is orange, Brian's blue. I think Casey's green from memory. I'm pink. Where's I'm sure Casey gets mentioned. Yeah. So assuming Casey's, yeah, so Casey's green. Abner's green as well. So these guys are all really distinct colours, but for some reason these just don't end up being that distinct at all. I don't know if it's because they're darker colours. It's possible it is because they're dark. So I might need to work on that actually. But essentially, the only thing about this is that yeah, it's the sorting of the dots. So basically, when you see these little dots here, like this one for mathematics, this one for mathematics again, probably in that hardware. Yeah. So if multiple streams, sorry, if multiple annotations have the same topics, no matter where you write them in the annotation, they will all get displayed. The dots will all get displayed in the same order, which I think is kind of like it's a nice thing to be able to see. If they all look consistent, I think it looks kind of nicer. Simplify insert category. So yeah, and also this thing here actually required me to, the sorting of the topics required me to rework how some of the functions worked, obviously. And that was changing, well, let's just see. Go to, just want to see, so what was it? Insert category, yeah. So this was previously called build filter, and it was only called once, I believe. But now this does a lot of the, this just kind of, it takes in it takes in arrays basically. So it takes in topics arrays, media arrays, and the marker, and basically inserts them into that array, inserts the marker into that array. And I previously had arrays for like the global topics or media and the local topics or media, but I wasn't really using them both. I don't think I was using them both with insert category or with build filter. I think I was only using the global one. So I've changed it so that insert category now works on the local guys. Whereas previously, build categories, this was like doing the local stuff. But now, this does a lot less work than it used to do, and it leverages it uses the local arrays that the previous guy, the insert category, had made. So, yeah, I don't know if that made any sense at all. That's basically that was required to do the sorting. Simply we were taking house topic and category. Yeah, right. So they were just booleans. Basically, you can figure that out by just saying, if we look at a categories, this contains the count. So yeah, I need to pull this guy out, category info. So we've got category info. I've just made this new category struct, which has a count of the categories. So you just use the count to determine whether there is any, whether it has any topics or categories. And then the most recent thing I did yesterday, oh, kind of technically the day before yesterday. Gosh, is it Tuesday? Yeah, it is Tuesday. Was to log the buffer usage. So now, whenever I run the thing, it actually writes into this buffer log. So it's a super stupid like thing. It's literally just a CSV basically. Comma separated values. You can see there's 9,000 of them. So it's not smart at all. But basically, it kind of and I'll probably change how this works as well, actually. But it basically gave me a way of I could load this into a spreadsheet program and like just see which buffers were like used and how much they were used. And that showed me that I wasn't using a particular buffer. So I had a buffer called color. And for quite a while, I thought that I would try and get rid of it, if possible. And as it turned out, I wasn't even using it anyway. So, in this character color function, really, everyone used color for. Okay, so I haven't written down who used it. But there was somebody. Character color. It's probably string to color hash. Would that be right? I mean, this guy's still taking a HSL color. Who's using this? Generate topic colors. Right, I think maybe this guy was taking a buffer, the colors buffer. But then later on, it was actually shadowing that variable with this. Right, so I was never using the color buffer. I was just using this this struct here that was initialized within the function. So yeah, the this kind of logging of the stuff was already pretty handy, because it just showed that the colour buff was always 0% used. So then I tried to remove it, and it, sure enough, it just worked. So yeah. Another thing I also did was like, where's log usage? There's something to do with percentages. Yeah, right. So if percentage users greater than 80%. So if I just move this down to 40. Semo program is equal to ZSH. So if I just do that, and then do that, it actually now warns if you're using more than the allotted memory. So it's kind of like a handy thing for me to just to sort of to know about, basically. And let me just turn this down just a little bit. Check out what the stream's doing. So still audible, still live, still recording, no drop frame still, which is kind of cool. CPU is at a reasonable level. So yeah. So that's all up to date. That's the recap. Log buffer usage, yeah. So basically today, the next goal is to, let me just show you. Right, we have projects. These are all the annotations for Risky Business. The goal here, right, is to loop over these. It's basically to build an index file for this entire directory. So we'll have like a HTML page that has links to all of these people, and we'll have individual player pages for all of them as well, like corresponding player pages for them. So that's the goal, is to basically produce that. And this is going to be like a first step towards actually getting it fully searchable as well. So like building a full index file for the that has all the information needed to perform searching and filtering of the annotations. Like that is the end goal. But as a first step towards doing that, I'm just going to build like an index page for these guys. So let's get going. Usage. I think I'm going to need a couple more little settings here. And also, I mean, this is all totally kind of like placeholder, by the way, until I have the config file. Ziller's likes the crooked camera. Thank you very much. Are you sure it's crooked though? I mean, it looks good to me, but I don't know whether that's just the drugs. So yeah, right. Very right. I think I'm delusional. So yeah, print usage. So I'm thinking we need more command line flags, basically. And I'm thinking like we need We need one for the project directory. Look at the pre-indenting. Yeah. How's it going, your stuff? Are you making progress? Project directory over which we will loop. So we've got P, and then I think like the base directory, I reckon would be a reasonable thing. The base output directory. Always remember to break. Yeah, right. So let us do a base about output directory. It's equal to the current one. Base output is equal to the default. I think that's kind of correct. And then, so kind of for project directory, default project directory. Oh, right, it's the default project directory. I guess that can just be nothing for now. Like the current directory. Unused project directory and base output directory. Yeah, that's fine. Actually, I think I was going to a good world. I've only just in the past week just read the name for a function. It is in consulta, yeah. Good, good knowledge, good recognition. To go to goodwill. So, yeah. I need to add those guys to the usage, don't I? Right, it wasn't about getting. Yeah, let's add those. So we had. So this was like the override default base. And then the other one was P, wasn't it? And this was the project directory. Oh, yeah, we needed the actual default guy as well. Override default project directory. I mean, yeah, technically speaking, the default project directory shouldn't really be set. There shouldn't really be one, I don't think. But yeah, just for the sake of having something in there, let's just do it. Default project directory, and then we need to change those. So we've got. Oh, we need to make it take that stuff, don't we? Always like the stuff in the middle of the line rather than above. Goodwill. Ah, right. You don't go. Ah, interesting. To get a goodwill. Okay. The middle of the line rather than above. Oh, I see. Right, got you. I see. Yeah, rather than it being a bit more kind of superscripted. It's kind of an interesting font actually in Consolata, because like sometimes you find that, at least I find that sometimes it's more kind of thin and tall, like depending on the size that you go with, it's like more thin and tall. But other times it's like just a little bit wider, a little bit more squat. And I think at the moment it's kind of a bit more squat than I'm more used to. So like ordinarily, this is the size that I usually use it at. And I think it looks more sort of upright. And this is more the kind of proportions that I'm more familiar with and that I prefer. But for the stream, I go with this, and I think this is more squat. I mean, it still looks nice enough, I think, but just a little bit unfamiliar. So default base directory, and where's the O? Default out location. This is the default project directory. And then we need to pass them here. Is it default base directory? Yeah. So let's see if this even builds. It doesn't. Oh right, of course. Default base directory. Did I call it that? Yeah. What did I call it? Default. But oh, base output. Oh right, base output directory. Right. Okay. So I just need to copy that, I believe. I think this is the one. There we go. So it does now build. Just see what it looks like. Base Apple directory, default directory, default project directory, default project directory. So yeah. So when we pass the these be? Here we go. So this is the base output directory, obviously. Base output is equal to optarg, is how you do it? I guess it is. So yeah, we're gonna need a bit of logic here as well, actually, because it's like project directory equal to optarg. Right, we want to do this, and then we also want to set the addition to be equal to the addition project. I think, is that right? How do I do this? Option. Define addition. Oh, right. Define addition to addition single. If addition is equal to addition network. Hang on, what was this line again? If addition is equal to addition network. Right, so there is an enum for them. Single per addition network. Guess that's all right. Because I think the other option would have been to then like redefine it. Yeah, redefines. Okay. All right. So let's stick with making it an integer. I think that should be okay. So yeah, if we're in addition project, we need to make sure that the base output directory is actually set to something that isn't. Well, actually, does that matter? Because if they're asking the children, probably thinking it does, yeah. Yeah, right, colour hash. So it has some or DJB2. For whatever reason, I've just chosen some. I think that was the old version. So I think it's been some for a while. And then DJB2 came along. But I was like, that just looks totally different to what I'm used to, so I'll put it back to some. And I think that's roughly what I actually have implemented. Kind of. Some equals some letters. Although actually, having said that, I think it might be different from what I've done. Goodness, weird. I think I guessed press every button. Couldn't get anything to happen. Ah. So, close different. Does the rest go? Oh, that's the point, yeah. So you've got the capital Z. Maybe that makes a difference. Didn't read the manual. I mean, I don't think I did either, but you just kind of pick up stuff as you go, I suppose. Maybe the capitalization matters. I mean, another thing that I've done actually is I've set my colour. So my input nick I've set to 33. Colour for nick in input, but well, input bar. So maybe that doesn't really influence the actual colour. Show URL colour. Chat nick self. For local nick in chat window. Right. Yeah, so I don't actually know what colour I come across for you guys. Yeah, I don't know. But I do know that I've set my colour in Twitch. At least I'm pretty sure I have. So like on Twitch, I suspect my colour is blue. On IRC though, I don't know. Presume it's whatever it gets computed as. But you're green here, aren't you? Yeah, and you're green in my thing. So maybe I have done the same algorithm. Although, hang on, insofar as different. Insofar as it's kind of like a browny, kind of a pinky brown. Whereas in my thing, he comes out purple. For whatever reason. I'm green on hex chart at least. Okay, interesting. So yeah, I don't think I've done the same algorithm then. Because I come out pink in my thing. So what's the problem here? So color is different. Yeah, so I'm green on hex chat. Is that on both Twitch and IRC? Because it might be possible that this only displays the same colour for me. Because I've set it in WeChat. That might just be possible. Yeah, insofar as it's the same, isn't he? Kalimian's different. That might be because of the capital. How does Saf? I think Saf is different as well, yeah. Saf is different. So the only difference is the capitalization. Captain Craft. Is Captain Craft in here? No. Yeah, it's possible that the capitalization just possible that the capitalization affects it. Isn't Knuckles in both? No. Green again, interesting. Yeah, that is interesting, because I thought that darker green. Yeah, because I thought I had set my colour in Twitch. Maybe not. Blue on the Twitch chat though, but not on Hexchat. Aha, there we go. So blue on the Twitch chat. Ah. Interesting. I mean, I think Twitch IRC makes a complete mess of colours anyway. Because, like, for example, like, well, I mean, I'm sure you've noticed this, but, like, that Thunderous, you get, like, a 0.5, don't you? Whereas, like, in an actual IRC, you get the full kit and caboodle. Like, you get the actual red and underlined and emboldened. But Twitch just can't deal with it. The noise of which I think I need to use extra. Oh, right, okay. Interesting. So let's get sliced. So I think the case here, I'm just going to straight up say that in order to go into project mode, we need to have both the project directory and the base output directory set to something other than the default. I think that would be reasonable. Yeah, no, the Twitch one, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Twitch just can't handle any formatting at all, it seems. Oh, actually, yeah. So, before we do this, we actually want to say that we're in project mode. If base output directory, base output, oh, hang on a minute. Yeah, so if strings differ, this is going to be a rare case of actually testing for difference. And they should both be null terminated. Yeah, let's test them one at a time as well, actually. If it differs, then it wants to say if strings differ on the project directory, then we want to say addition equals addition project. Else we want to print out a warning. that says both the guys must be set to enter proto mode. Nope. Invalid option B. Is it? Haven't I done a case? Oh, yeah, I didn't add the case. Did I build it? What's it saying? Both of the... Oh, right, both the guys must be set. Oh, yeah, and I should actually die, shouldn't I? Yeah, I can just return one card because I haven't allocated anybody. Okay. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, this is a bit awkward. I mean, I kind of want to say, if this, or if this or this, they want to say if they're both, then we can set the project, isn't it? I think that's what I want to be saying. I think that's the sense. Yeah. So it's like both the both the basic must be set in order for us to enter project mode. Yeah. Yeah, okay, I think that seems fair enough. And then let's just say we're in project mode. Just do the same. Yeah, well, basically the idea about that is that if it returns 0, so like 0 is success, in my kind of like understanding in project mode, cool. So I suppose actually technically, yeah, I suppose you should check that they both exist actually. But yeah, if I just go to the strings differ, if it returns 0, it means that they're the same, doesn't it? And if you kind of if you test for success, it needs to be non-zero, basically. So like when I call it, I'm basically sort of saying, like, it makes sense to me to sort of say if strings differ, because otherwise you sort of have to say, you're sort of saying if string compare these guys, you want to know if they, yeah, it's not a string, yeah, exactly, yeah. So if you want to know if they're the same, so yeah, you want to know if they're the same, or if you want to know, if you want to make it succeed, if they're the same, basically, you need to say this, don't you? But if you call it strings differ, then that kind of automatically makes the negation of that they match, basically. So it's just kind of like it's just a semantic kind of thing, I suppose. Like you don't need to remember necessarily how the function works. Definitely clean function and the string compare. Yeah, you don't need to remember how it works. You just need to know, because all you want it to do is to tell you whether it differs. But I mean, also it does tell you like which comes first as well, so you can sort. You can use it to sort. Because it returns like that minus that. So it's like if I think if A comes like higher in the alphabet than B, then it returns a positive number. But if it's the other way around, it returns a negative. And then you can use that in your sorting function. Have I used a sorting function somewhere? Sure, there's a sort somewhere. Where's the insert category? So yeah, there's this line here. If strings differ, if it's less than 0, then it wants to, I think it's shifting all the stuff down one. So this thing is it's basically an insertion sort, I think, where it keeps all the stuff sorted as you go. I mean, of course, if it doesn't differ, it doesn't insert it at all, I believe. I think. But yeah, you can use this test to sort of tell you which way it should be sorted, basically. I don't know if that was at all helpful. helpful and cogent explanation. Yeah, pretty actually, pretty sound actually. So yeah, we're in project mode. So if I put and addition does not equal addition project, then we need to throw that error. How do you reset the function and return the difference of the two codes? And there it is. Yeah. But the base version of the project must be set in order for it to enter project mode. Project. Okay, yeah. So addition project. What is this? Oh, this is oh, it's validating the template, is it? Yeah. Jesus. And then we're finally in the memory arena. Buffer config. Maybe I should just get rid of this whole config stuff, because it does pop up occasionally, but it's completely doesn't do anything at all. The inconsistent posts this and pre. Ah, interesting. Where do you see that? Template. Ah, right, yeah. So you got these guys. The template code. Yeah, so template pointer. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, right. So that's I don't necessarily need that to be like that. Let me just fix that. Yeah. So I've just removed a little bit of character there, I'm afraid. The config thing. If config claim buffer memory reader. Well, I mean it's just if 0 die anyway, isn't it? So let's leave the config for now. Basically the main thing here is that I pass the right files to this guy. Data templates. I suppose actually this test here could be this and this, or we're in addition. Sorry, if addition project and there's no like whatever. Can I do that? Oh, hang on. Yeah, right. So test against the results, test against the number of .html files in the project directory. Okay, so before I do this, I then want to actually build the stuff up. Edition project. And I guess actually if we're in a different project here, I suppose we could do the loop here, maybe. Yeah, we enter project edition. Although, actually, let's keep it separate. I can always put them together later. So basically, right here now we're using the directory stuff. So let's see if I can remember how you do this now. Yeah, I can't actually use that, can I? So this is going to be what actually is project directory? Oh, yes, right. So this is going to be the directory handle, isn't it? Really? Or the project directory descriptor, or something. Let's say project directory handle. So this is in the. Oh, it didn't tell me. What is it? Is it read? So it's in the dia entry header. Pretty sure I need another one as well, but let's just stick with this for now. Okay, so we've got the directory handle. Is it open? Is that what it is? Yeah. Okay, yes, and sys types as well it wants. So yeah, another thing I did actually off stream was figuring out how to do this actual stuff. How to read a directory and iterate over its contents. So I do have some code actually sitting around that will just do that for me. So yeah, let's see. Open directory. This takes the name. Yeah, it's going to be like set but not used. That's interesting. I like how, well, I suppose it gets set. Yeah, I suppose. There we go. Okay. Put a directory handle. So we're going to open the directory. And also, I think it was something like a pointer to that. No. There was some weird thing that I needed to do. Let's check the man page. Open directory. Open the directory stream corresponding to the directory name. It says a pointer to the directory stream. The stream position of the first entry in the directory. The fd open function is like open directory, but it is a directory stream for the directory referred to by the open file descriptor fd. After a successful call to fd open, fd is used internally by implementation and should not otherwise be used by the application. Read, yeah, right. That's what I need, I believe. So we need a dirent struct. Right, here we go. Wish me luck. Directory entry. So this is going to be like the project file. And is it this that I need to do like that? Incompatible pointer type. So dirent, yeah, so it is that pointer thing. So it needed the so while project files is equal to read directory on the project directory handle. Let's just printf for now. The project files, I think it's that. Let me just return one after here. Okay, so we need some sane directories here. Well, actually, we could say that the project directory is this directory. Yeah, we could say the base directory is this as well, can't we? Oh yeah, I need to free the directory as well. close the directory rather. Okay, so there we go. So this has listed all of the files. Kind of surprised that actually works, honestly. So while we're in the directory, what we want to do here is so we've got this information, files, project file D name. We basically want to test the test it against like .html. And if the string ends in, if the file name ends in that string, I do, yeah. So basically, yeah, I do. I'll explain that in just a sec. If I enter that string, then stuff it into stuff that file name into an array. So yeah, basically what this does is it sets hang on a minute, in the while condition, yeah. So it tries to set the project files to the result of read directory. Okay, so read directory returns a struct, but it returns null on reaching the end of the directory stream, or if an error occurred. So basically, what that means is that while this gets set to something that isn't null, it will enter the loop. Otherwise, it'll kind of exit the loop and continue, obviously. And you do this in a similar way. Well, actually here, isn't it? Honestly. And also, redirectory, each time it gets called, it returns a pointer to the directory data structure representing the next directory entry in the directory stream pointed to by derp. So actually, it does increment through itself, which means you don't need to actually do any incrementing inside the while loop. Derp, exactly. So yeah, I guess it's a similar principle. Similar principle to error checking on opening directory, and also like fopen. So like this guy will return a file handle to the location if it succeeds, but if it doesn't, it returns null and sets the error number, which you can then use to obviously to return your error. So we should see under fopen Something about it returning null if it fails. Or if it returns an error message. Is that right? fopen. So it returns a file. So I should just do it. Return value, here we go. Upon successful completion, fopen, fdopen in it. They return a file pointer. Otherwise null is returned and error number is set to indicate the error. Yeah, so it's a similar principle to that. So you can then test against like the null basically. To then do the error. But because like this is a while loop, you want this to loop over multiple things. You want to be testing against the success of this. And then only the failure, it'll pop you out of the loop, basically. Just one thing I might like to look into here, actually, is variably lengthed arrays. So I'm not sure I really understand these, and I wonder if these would help me in this situation. Like it's variable length array, specified size, filled with floating point values, and the positive because arrays declares an automatic variable. After events when read and process returns. It's an array data structure of automatic storage duration, whose length is determined at runtime instead of at compile time. Parallelizes variables. See, the length parameter must come before the variable length array parameter in function calls. Sean's stretchy buffer. Yeah. Yeah, I've never used it either, actually. So basically the reason I'm thinking of this is it's because I want to be stuffing the file names into an array. Just make yourself right. Possibly, yeah. Yeah, let's just say that we've got so we've got an array of HTML files. Oh, cool. So you're testing like the extension for those guys, were you, as well? I wonder if we could get some Zillaresco code into Cinera. software code. File index. I wonder if I'm using file index yet. Probably am. Ah, array size missing in HTML files. Right. Just realizing the memory how to new. Oh wow, okay. Interesting. So yeah, maybe I need a buffer actually for this thing. Oh yeah, yeah, I'd forgotten about that actually. You need to allocate stuff before passing it to a function, don't you? So that might be what I'll need to do. Is that true? Well, hang on. Before doing the array, let's just try and get one of them working. So that builds. Right. So we want to say so if I just strings differ this guy, it won't necessarily give me the right thing. If they don't differ, then we want to printf that. Yeah, it won't give me the right thing at all. It's like it needs to contain it. Right, Jesus. Chris Mandala. So large size of 50%. Just realloc to a larger size of 50%. Copy the type. Yeah. So yeah, I actually don't do any reallocations at all. I mean, I suppose if I was going to do this, for one thing, I would actually claim from my memory arena But then if I was going to do this, I'd be basically implementing like dynamically growing buffers, which I think I probably will need at some point. Um, hmm. Yeah, I don't think I'll do that just yet, though. I don't think. Cause, I mean, like, I have this concept already going of like stuff that arrays that I stuff things into. Like the categories. So the way that I do this is I just hard code the size, don't I? And then I say how many of those guys I can have. I mean, it is super janky, but I mean, I suppose it gets me kind of making progress, I suppose. Plus equals that. String length, hang on. The string length of that minus the string length of .html. Right, this is going to be super duper weird. And this needs to terminate as well. Well, hang on a minute. This might already terminate. Oh wow, that works. Structure of arrays. Is it structure of arrays? Let's see. I suppose it kind of is, yeah. Yeah, it will be a structure of arrays. Will it? Yes, it will, yeah. Yeah. Because the category info is made up of a mark and a written text, and they're both arrays of characters, which is strings. And then it's like an array of one of those with a count. So yeah. Yeah, it is structure of arrays. So yeah, so this actually worked, didn't it? We're printing off all of the HTML files. So we want to stuff them onto an array, don't we? So we're just at the situation already. So yeah. Well, let's just say they can be 25 long. We don't know how many of them there can be. Incomplete element typecast. Thingamajig. So it seems to allow that. The question though is, what is that actually given us? let's say copy string. Hang on, we need the file index. I want a copy string to file names, file index. This probably won't work at all, actually. How do I do this? On the file names. Eight hours ahead, are I? It's currently midnight. Pacific Daylight Time is currently at 4 o'clock. Wait, midnight 24. Need to go back to 16. Yeah, so if you're in PDT, then yeah, I guess. I've just put to the 0 page. That's just probably because I haven't allocated the thing, isn't it? I mean, the thing about my buffers is that they're just flat strings, basically. I'm not sure how to actually get arrays out of them. But hold on. What was it? Local something or other. Yeah, local topics. So pass a point to local topics to insert category. Copy string. Passing argument 1 of copy string has incompatible pointer type. Okay. let's just see again how I do the local guys. Local topics. So I pass it into insert category. Local topics count. Does copy string copy over the null terminator? So it just calls vs_printf. So I actually don't know, honestly. You see, this takes a dest string. So yeah, we want an array of strings. Because the results here, it doesn't matter. Let's just try. Mallocing them. Oh right, yeah. Which star. No, okay, space for the characters. There we go, yeah. Hang on a minute. Like if I do, like I don't really want to be saying 255. So that's going to give us enough space on the stack, isn't it? And this does give me the dudes. Path max. Oh, is there? Message batch. Ah, okay. Oh, AF max. Let's do down here. 43. Path max. Which is a bit looks like a real path man page. Yeah, I suppose the file name is what I'm talking about here, so it's not actually the full path. Fpath conf. Interesting. Why not include in this file though? UniSTD. Oh, it needs to actually do this, does it? So it gets a value for the configuration option name for the open file descriptor FD. Gets a value for the configuration of the file name path. Oh right, okay. Fpath conf. This was taking the descriptor, wasn't it? Well, I think it should be the path. Should it? Because I don't have the descriptor, do I? Got no idea. What is this actually going to tell me? Get configuration values for files. F1 gets a value for the configuration option for the open file descriptor FD. The maximum number of links to the file. Oh, the directory path, right, okay. Yeah, so do have the directory path. So we're saying directory handle. It's going to be the project directory handle. Project directory handle. What am I making? Hello, Schmorcho. Yeah, it's like a video annotation file. Table things so it's visually as it be on the yeah exactly. So it's a thing called Cinera. It's this. You have to excuse the very incomplete. But, well, actually, I suppose this page itself is quite informative. But there's nothing in forums and nothing in the blogs just as yet. And is this going to show me streaming? I think this is going to show me actually streaming. Playing for 2 viewers. Yeah, there I am. Looking at my actual thing. That's quite interesting. Yeah, so... Oh, and also excuse the logo as well. We need to work on that. Twitch, yeah. Twitch is twitching, isn't it? So yeah, it's an annotation system. Got an example of what it ends up looking like here. This is like the actual thing that I'm making here. In fact, I can give you that link as well if you like. So you can have a play. Basically, it allows you to watch videos and jump around the videos, basically. Why is it in C? Gosh, that's a good question. So I follow a project called Handmade Hero. That's at this. And the language that Casey uses is C. Well, it's C++. But more like written in like more of a C style. So basically, like I'm really inspired by him to program. Like it's because of him that I'm actually starting to program. And like, yeah, I suppose like I quite like to use C. So I think it's probably not for everybody, and there's probably more appropriate languages for the stuff that I'm actually doing. Like for example, Python is probably more geared towards the stuff that I'm doing, because what I'm actually doing is reading in files and converting them to HTML files. So there's a lot of string manipulation involved. And when you're dealing with strings in C, you need to kind of make sure that you allocate all the stuff properly. I mean, just at the moment, I'm actually hitting a thing where I need to build an array of file names, but I don't automatically have like the memory stuff available for it. So I need to figure out how to do that. See if there's some competitive programming. Uh, yeah, so it may not be like the most appropriate for this kind of stuff, but like I quite like I quite like working at this level when you're working like amongst the amongst the memory. Um, because I sort of feel like I can engage with the stuff more kind of deeply than I can when I'm like uh, kind of at a more abstracted level, if that makes sense. Um, like when I do stuff in Python, for example, I sort of feel like I always feel like I'm having to like look around to see like what solutions are out there to do stuff. Um, and I don't really feel like I engage with the problems in the way that I kind of like to engage with them. Um, but when working in C, I kind of don't really have that instinct. Like I don't really want to be kind of jumping around looking for pre-made solutions. I actually kind of want to work through the stuff myself, if you know what I mean. um, Mm, cool. What sort of stuff do you actually make? I mean, another reason actually is that um, this is going to become more than just a converter, basically. Um, it is going to be, it's going to end up being an actual kind of a daemon that sits on a server, um, sort of reading in annotation files and converting them and outputting them as HTML. But it's also going to work as like a sort of search engine thing, basically. So you can actually perform, so you can actually search the stuff. So it'll need to sit there serving up the actual information that you need to make it to do a search, searching and filtering. That is. I mean, maybe even that would be fine to do in Python, maybe. But yeah, like I say, I'm just like doing it in C. Ah, first version. Interesting. You use Python for that, right? Yeah. Interesting. So plenty of socket programming, I imagine, for that. So I only recently did any kind of networking, but used I just used curl for that. So there's my curl function, curl quotes, curl into buffer. Yeah. So I've only just recently done this this sort of network stuff here, which was literally just curling, like curling the quotes. Like I say, gonna do Q list in here. There we go. So it just pulls these guys basically. Two projects, but people on one of the projects are terrible. Oh no. You see, like there are other people who work on this stuff as well. I mean, I say work on it. I mean, insofar as, for example, he did the parser. he wrote the HMM lib parser, which is all this stuff. And Asaf Gardner, he actually designed the player. Like this thing here. He designed how that all goes together. So all I'm doing is actually doing the conversion part of it. But both those guys are just amazing. Like, amazingly knowledgeable and amazingly like just cool guys to kind of have around. So yeah, I don't really haven't had that problem with working with terrible people just yet. Using Elixir. What is Elixir? No, I don't suppose I can actually search for that very easily. Elixir programming. Oh, it's a programming language, is it? Okay. What's a mesh programming? What's a web dev? Interesting. I've never even heard of this, actually. Everything is an expression. Pattern matching. Two plus three is an arithmetic and promise benefit values to 5. A variable is an expression because it denotes a value in memory. So y plus x is an expression. 4 is not equal to 4. Interesting. Not the most famous, but it's very powerful. Interesting. It is by Erlang Ruby Clojure. Dynamic and strong. Yeah, so I don't really know about what these guys mean actually. And also, I don't really understand what functional programming is, honestly. But I mean, this might be what I'm doing. But yeah, I don't really know much about paradigms. Has a good framework, Phoenix. Is that the right thing? Elixir Phoenix. Okay, so they probably haven't got a thingamajig for it. Cool. Flipping that to the right. Yeah. So, where were we? It was like, permission denied. Oh, I'm in the wrong file. Okay. Google Phoenix Framework. Let's have a quick Google. I mean, it's not actually Google, it's DuckDuckGo, but like Phoenix. Yeah, and also I don't really have any experience of using a framework, honestly. So I don't really know what would be like good and bad about them. I see, Python and Django, right. So Handmade Network uses the Django framework. But I haven't got involved with any of that, honestly. So yeah. So I don't know exactly what what it kind of what it saves you from having to do, basically. So let's just see if I can get this going. That was for the file length, wasn't it? I use Arch. Yeah, Arch Linux. Which coincidentally is the the distro that I did the recording of installation. Yeah, I used to use Fedora Core and then Fedora until I discovered Arch, basically. Basically, one of the reasons for the switch there was that I sort of got sick of having to reinstall Fedora every so often, because they have quite a quick release cycle. I think it's like every 9 months or something they do a new release, and I think every 3 releases they stop supporting things. So like every couple of years you need to reinstall your system. But with Arch it's just a rolling, yeah. So as you know, Arch is just a rolling release, so you just never need to reinstall. And also you only install as much as you need, don't you? Which is kind of really nice, I think. Whereas like with Fedora, like it came with all sorts of stuff that like you don't necessarily want. I think they had different versions, like they had a GNOME version and a KDE version, so you could like pick your desktop environment, but it still comes with all sorts of nonsense that you don't necessarily want. Yeah, so I like the fact that it's a rolling release, that you don't have any rubbish installed by default, and that I like the fact that I just trust the repo maintainers, basically. Like I think they do a good job. The guys who build the packages and who test them, I think they do a good job in making sure the stuff actually the stuff works, basically. So yeah, we're still in this situation here, right, where file names. So basically, all I want to have happen here all I want is an array of file names. I feel like what I want, really, is this sort of thing. But then I get this failure here. Stuck around with the Vim commands. So yeah, it's a random axis pointing to the 0 page. Let me just try something really silly here. Sorry. 250. So let's just say it's a file name. So a file name is going to be 255 characters long. Right. Let me just put a little to do as well here. So we want an array of file names. Right, we want an array of them, but we don't know how many. Now, well, this actually, well, it does work. Yeah, okay, so it still gives me this. Because the thing that's stumping me here is that got these local topics. Hang on. So local topics is just the categories. 64 of them. Ah, hang on. Oh, it's because I'm telling it how many you can have. That's what it is, isn't it? So God. Yeah. So I'm just kind of mimicking the thing from before. So let's say we can have 255 of them, for example. an account of the files. Would that work? Yeah. So what's probably becoming very clear is that like I have no idea what I'm doing basically. But if I do that, then I think that should be okay. And then this thing here. So file index is equal to, we can also sort of say file names count is equal to 0. Mind you, I think that would probably be handled by that actually. Well, yeah, let's leave that as it was. So file names. So file names. File, this would be 255 of them. What is it actually saying? Incompatible type, argument 1 of copy string. Hello, Crefer. By voters outside, not a great place to be. Dear. Names. Incompatible type, argument 1 of copy string. So copy string wants you to pass a character, a string basically. So you've got file names. What does this give me? Subscription values now, the array null pointer vector. I kind of feel like this is a bit of a rat hole, which is not productive. Like it's not. This isn't the correct way to do this thing, I don't think. So yeah, let's just go back to what it was before. We want an array of file names. Okay. It's really what it does. It's just let over. I've only arginated it and it takes one of the other things it did. Would you help? Possibly, yeah. When it starts, asks you to select OS, but you have only Arch on that HDD. And then it takes 1 minute 30 seconds for the things to do. Okay. So yeah, when it's booting up, it usually sort of says, doesn't it? It tells you what's happening. And it has a counter, doesn't it, for when things are starting. Do you eventually get a wireless connection that works? Um, I mean, I actually did that in the video, didn't I? Well, Wi-Fi. Oh, hold on. Net control. Surely Wi-Fi menu is mentioned. Yeah, Wi-Fi menu. So that's, it'd be this one probably. Connection is working. Okay. 1 hour and 39. 1 hour 26 and 39. So is this playing? Well, the player thinks it's playing, but the video isn't moving, which is kind of funny. So connection is working. So yeah, I mean, I don't think this tells you how long stuff took to boot to start. Yeah, this isn't saying. God, if you call them something that's a bit worrying. Oh, this was at midnight. Hang on, what day are we on? This is the 23rd. Ah, this might be when I'm being pinged. Because I'm using, yeah, this will be when I'm being pinged. So I'm using the jack, this guy, jack audio connection kit. But for some reason that kind of screws up my WeChat pinging, basically. So why is it PC? It's on Ethernet cable. Okay. Sorry, yeah, of course, yeah, you can get DHCP over Ethernet as well, can't you? So connection is working. It's not a Wi-Fi issue because it's PC and it's on Ethernet cable. Okay. The connection is working though. What makes you think it's a DHCP issue? I mean, presumably it's when it's booting, it's presumably sort of saying that DHCP is the guy that's taking the time. So oh yeah, you're on wired, aren't you? Right. So yeah, would this part of it help at all? Actually, like So I don't have this file because I'm not on Wired, basically. But if you go to your etc.net control directory, it says something about it. They suggested it, but they couldn't find a solution. It says something about DHCP too. Okay. I mean, the other thing I'd suggest is if you go to your etc.net control directory, I mean, you must have already done this actually, so that it actually works. But I mean, you don't even need to do that really. You can just run IP link, right? So my Ethernet cable will be this, but I actually use this guy. Do IP link to get your interface, and then if you run this command to so you need to replace like where it says your interface, you need to put this actual interface ID or whatever. Put that there, and then that should then give you a file that will be called Ethernet DHCP. So it's based on this file. So basically what this command here does, it just substitutes eth0 for the thing that you tell it, and then it outputs this file into your etc control directory. Then you just start it basically. I don't know if that was any help at all. You have done that during the installation. If it was a problem here, the internet won't work. Yeah, I don't know. So the thing is, you generally there's something about DHCP. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I say in the thing, like network configuration isn't really one of my strong points. So you eventually gain the connection. Yeah, I'm really not sure. Unless it's possible that you've got another service running that is trying to set up the internet as well. So like if you go to system, How do you do this? I think it's list units or something. I'm not exactly sure what these lines mean, by the way. Yeah, I mean, I suppose the only thing I'd guess is that you've got another service that's trying to start the network, and it's kind of fighting with another service. So, like, you ultimately end up with the network connected, but while those guys are still fighting, like, you've got to wait for them to resolve that. I suppose that's all I'd guess. So the way I did that, by the way, was system control list units. Can I narrow that down anymore? No. I'm not exactly sure why some of them are coloured and some aren't either. Network D is disabled. Whereas net control, this guy is enabled. Pay someone to fix it. Okay. And he's gone. So yeah, right. So we've come to this situation here where we need to populate an array with file names. But it's now 1 o'clock in the morning. So I think I'm going to call it here. And return to this tomorrow. So, like all we've done. R.I.P. time. Yeah, indeed. How long have I been going? 2.5 hours. And no drop frames, which is kind of cool. Yeah, 2.5 hours. And all I've done is I've given us some new flags. You're very welcome. You're welcome. I hope you sort out your stuff, by the way. Yeah, I mean that's all I can suggest really if it's fighting. Yeah, that's all I can guess really. Yeah, so we've given ourselves some new flags. Updated the usage text, and we're now successfully iterating over the files, figuring out which ones are HTML files. But we're now in the situation where we need to actually stuff them into an array. I mean, we are kind of doing that though, aren't we? Because like down here, like, I suppose, let me just try something very, very quickly before I actually go. So this was working, right? If we just say here, if strings differ, so file names I is, yeah, if we're just saying if file names I, okay. So strings differ, file names I, and like, I don't know, like an empty thing, I guess. Then we print, yeah. So I mean, this is technically kind of what I want, but it's not really, because it's still populating the array. Oh, I got an array count. Oh, wait. Hang on, maybe I have done it all right, after all. Oops. Oh, no. Okay. Yeah, maybe that isn't quite right. Yeah, okay. Array kind of file names. Yeah, we just need to get a better understanding of how this whole thing works. Well, yeah, we've got our little to-do here, to-do mark, test the original files, never gets to that. So yeah, I think that's reasonable. Let's just do a little to-do here as well. Figure out how to pass it out. Figure out how to allow an arbitrary number of files. So that's really what we need to be able to do. Yeah, because then we really want to be sort of saying, we want to be populating an array with the with either the arguments that we pass. So for example, if we call the program like this, well, let's just simplify it. If we say, if we call it like this, oh, it's still doing all the crap, isn't it? But yeah, if we call it like this, then it'll loop over these guys, and it'll stuff these files into an array. But if we call it like this, passing the directory path and the base path, then it stuffs the configured files, these files basically, into an array. And then it will be that array that we loop over down here. It'd be here basically. So we'd have like the file index would be 0. Would be saying the array count of the file names, and then just kind of like go through them like that. So that's basically the goal, I think, is to get that stuff, get that array up and running. But yeah, not just yet, because now I need to eat and like get some more energy back, so that I can do that tomorrow. So yep, thank you very much, Here's and Heroines, for being here, for being fantastic and beautiful and awe-inspiring. And yeah, until next time, farewell for now.